This week, we are taking you offshore to catch some kings, lings, and snapper, and going inshore for some trout on topwater, plus chomping bass on all the lakes.
That's right, and with the break in the rain and some nice weather on the way, get ready to fish your way through the holiday weekend, guys, here on the Texas Insider Fishing Report, which starts
now.
Welcome to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Presented by Yamaha.
Hello and welcome to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. This weekend is going to be so perfect on the water because of Memorial Day, but we also want to remind everyone that it is National Safe Boating Week, which means what, Rick?
What it basically means, guys, is, there's 3 big weekends in the summer where people actually get hurt. Memorial Day, 4th of July, and Labor Day. It's really important. Check your safety gear, wear your kill switches, don't drink and drive. Just use common sense of all the awareness around you while the other boaters are driving. And guess what? You'll come home safe and nobody will, get hurt.
Perfect in a nutshell. All right, before we get started, let's say hi to Dave Farrell over at the Yacht Gear Workbench. Dave, hello.
How you doing?
Are you excited for Memorial Day weekend?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
I love to sit out in the sun.
Well, apparently I do too.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep. Yeah. Dave just said, did you get a spray tan before we started the show? What? No, it's just, it's almost Memorial Day weekend.
That caramel color is really looking good on her, don't you think, guys?
Sitting out in the sunshine. All right, we're kicking off this Memorial Day weekend in the front runner boats, Upper Coast region with Captain Carl Weston. Let's go fishing, Carl.
Hey, let's go. Here we go back to Galveston Bay, guys. We've got some great action going on right now. The sheepshead are biting over there, and these fish are fun to target for all age groups. They're pretty easy to find. They're pretty easy to catch. Most of your large docks, seawalls, bridge pylons hold sheephead. Most barnacle encrusted bottom structure really is their favorite place to hide. So, and now what's weird is these little fish, when you look at them, they have teeth that kind of resemble a human, which is what allows them to eat the barnacles and the crustaceans and shrimp and stuff that they love to eat. So there's your answer for bait. As for rigging, guys, a simple 3-way bottom rig with about a 4/0 trocar hook, anywhere between a 3 and 6 ounce sinker, depending on the depth. The bottom fishing part is what makes this so good for new anglers of all ages. It's pretty easy to do. Get close to that seawall, lock your Rodan down. You'll see the sheet set on the bottom machine near the bottom. Catch a few of these fish. They make a great dinner. And I got a picture of little Steven today. Tell me this little fella doesn't look like he just hit the lotto.
He certainly does.
Look at them curls,
my God.
Rick.
Look at that hair, dude.
I knew he was going to be jealous about
Wow. Hair envy. All right, tell us what else you got inshore this week, Bubba.
We've had a ton of fresh water this past week with storms and heavy rains. But the inshore water, it looks like coffee right now, so you might want to head out on the beachfront for a few days. There's a nice clear line where the Gulf water is hitting the muddy fresh water running out of the bays. You'll see a lot of shad schooling right now swimming along that line. The pelicans, you'll see them diving on the bait along with the seagulls. Well, the bull reds are out there on patrol as well. They'd love to ambush bait from that spot. Topwater twitch baits, hard plastic swim baits, guys, are a great artificial choice. Like that Berkeley hit stick. I've heard it's just awesome. I've seen it work. Another fun bait is the Bass Assassin sea shad in that salt and pepper on about a 1/4 ounce jig head. Hey, cut or whole fresh shad on the bottom rig works as well for your natural choice. These fish are always fun. Great fight on your medium weight pen spinning combo. That's what I like to use. We have a picture of Caitlin today with a nice bull red she got off the beach.
Nice. All right, dude, let's go offshore.
Okay, it's that time of the year to hit that inshore structure and search a ling. This is the kind of fishing I really love. This you can spend all day looking for ling, and you might find one, you might see 10. It's luck of the draw. But once you get 2 or 3 swimming around the boat, Rick, the boat becomes like a Three Stooges movie breakout. Everybody tackle boxes upside down the floor. Everybody's trying to grab a lure, pick the right one, and now the choice to pick the number one bait. And mine actually is a live bait on about a 5/0 trocar heavy duty hook. I put about a 3-foot piece of that 40-pound Vanish fluorocarbon. They can't see it, but they can see the bait. Now, big, bright swim baits, they love those too. Don't forget fish bite chunks also, and get you a good, heavy, sharp gaff. You're going to need one. And Caitlin made the pictures again today with a nice ling she caught right offshore.
Okay, Caitlin.
So, dude.
I know.
In her red, white, and blue.
Yeah,
wow.
I want to fish with Caitlin when I come there.
Me too.
All right.
So with the windy weather we've had, a lot of us offshore anglers have been stuck at the dock. And one option, if you want to run close, are inshore reefs and wrecks with that water still being cool. Some of those little platforms still standing. They still have some snappers, some red snappers, some mangrove. You'll have to cull through some this time of year to get your keepers. But hey, it's fun. You don't blow a bunch of gas. Close to shore, it's not so rough. 40 to 50 feet right now. Use lighter gear like a little slip rig. It's a lot of fun, or a soft plastic. Tip with some fish bites. Always good action, guys. And here's Tina with a nice, big state water snapper.
All right, bud. Thank you so much for starting us out this week. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Upscale Glass Company hotspots from the Upper Coast region. Carl says that inshore, you want to fish along the seawalls, targeting the sheep head around the pylons with a simple bottom rig baited with shrimp and fish bites. And then offshore, sight fish for ling on the inshore structure. Throw a live bait on a 5/0 trocar circle hook tied with 3 feet of that piece of vanished 40-pound fluorocarbon. Lita.
The ladies are killing it in the Upper Coast region.
They
I'm
are.
loving it. All right, the lakes in the lower fresh region are also on fire this week. So let's find out how Matt Reed is reeling them in on Bastrop, Choke Canyon, Somerville, Fayette County, LBJ, and of course, Falcon. Hi, Matt.
Hello, how are y'all?
We're good.
Let's get this South Texas thing kicked off. It is officially summer. It's 104 degrees at the moment. Let's start off with the reports that Brian Cotter sent me from around the Austin area. Lake Decker's fishing great. There's lots of fish coming on a 5-inch stick worm and small swim baits around the grass in 5 to 10 foot of water. Also, there's some up tight to the reeds if you'd rather flip right up on the shoreline. There's some nice chunks coming out on the deep structure if you'd rather throw a deeper diving crankbait. The Berkeley Dredger is a great bait to catch those fish. He's having some 50-plus fish days. Lake LBJ is fishing well also. Work the grass beds and the bulkheads with swim baits and shallow cranks. Also, a frog skipped up under the shade in the docks is catching some really big ones right now. You might not get many bites doing that, but they'll be the ones you're looking for. Lake Bastrop is fishing great. The fish are schooling every morning early in the water discharge. Later on, they're surface schooling out on the main lake. You want to look for that schooling activity, get out there with your clear top waters. That'll get you some amazing action when they're on the surface. After that, you want to throw some soft plastics where they were when they go down. Your forward-facing sonar will help you find them. There's also some fish being caught on flukes-style baits up on the flats near the grass. Mike Bates sent me a report from Choke Canyon. Shed spawn definitely over. We're in the early summer pattern down here. Lots of fun to be had. He said you can still catch a few up shallow in the morning on square bills and vibrating jigs and shad colors. Just expect to move a bunch and cover water up till about 7:30. That shallow bite will be over by then. After that, get you your Texas rig and your shaky head, your Carolina rig. Get out in that 10 to 15 feet of water. You want to fish areas that have a steep drop-off close by. When you find these fish, they're in piles. There's just a whole bunch of them. So you want to keep moving until you find them. When you find them, you can sit there and load the boat. His numbers have been in the 70-plus fish a day. Lots of big ones beginning to show up now. 10-pound fish are beginning to hit the deck. Greg Boyd's report from Somerville. Bass is so-so at Somerville. Shad spawn is definitely winding down there also. Lipless crankbaits and chatterbaits and square bills are still catching a few. Fayette County, fish are out deep. They're in 15 to 20 feet of water on the main lake points. Also some in the discharge on the rocks that are out in front of that flowing current comes out of that discharge. Carolina rigs and shaky heads are what's catching those fish best. Down at my baby at Falcon, the bass are biting extremely well. Our lake level is falling like a rock. They've been releasing water at an alarming rate. It's a little inconvenient launching right now, but it's definitely worth it. numbers and size are piled up on the offshore structure. Crankbaits and plastics have just been crushing them. Come on down, join in on the fun. Got a couple pictures here. That top one is one of those great big choke canyon fish that one of Mike Bates' clients caught this week. And the other one is one of Greg Voigt's clients from Fayette County.
Wow, nice fish this week, bub.
Courtesy.
All right, tell us about this white bass and hybrids.
Lake Summerville hybrids are really good in that 14 to 18 foot of water around the dam in Rocky Point. You want a dead stick, a jerk shad, or a chartreuse slab spoon down there. Just let it fall through the schools you find on your sonar, and you can catch you a limit.
All right,
Got a
bud.
picture of just a big old hybrid there. That's what they look like. Look like an overgrown white bass, a combination between the white bass and the striper.
A lot of happy folks in your pictures this week. Bub, thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the lower Frist region. He says lake bass, drop bass are schooling every morning in the water discharge area. Later, they fire up on the main lake and look for the surface activity and fire clear top waters at them for that rapid action. And then after they go down, get your soft plastic and keep catching them, Brie.
Always catching them. All right, make sure you get your life jackets ready for the holiday weekend because we're headed to the Sea Sucker Lower Coast region. But first, Dave is getting things ready for rigs and techniques at the Yak Gear Workbench. What are we doing over there today, Dave?
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about live bait fishing in saltwater and freshwater and what kind of hooks to choose for different baits and different targets.
Sounds fun.
Very nice. We'll be back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Ameritrail. Load, launch, relax. Fenwick. Feel everything. Bahio. Blue light blocking, radically clear polarized fishing sunglasses. Sportsman's Adventures with Captain Rick Murphy. 30 years of fishing for adventure. Berkeley. Your fish, our science. And Skeeter Performance Fishing Boats. Eat, sleep, fish.
Well, we're here at the Yak Gear Workbench, and it's time for some rigs and techniques. Dave, we're talking about bait fishing this week, both freshwater and saltwater. So let's jump right in.
Well, we got a lot of stuff. So anyway, when you're choosing the size of the hook, you want to make sure that you choose a hook that's not going to mess up your bait. One that's going to keep your bait alive and kicking. And a lot of the live bait hooks that we've got down here are short shank just for that reason. They look a little different from a regular hook that you'd, maybe just throw a chunk of something on, because they have a shorter shank. It keeps, the fish from the live bait. It allows the live bait to swim more naturally than having a big long shank out in front of it, hanging out in front of his nose.
Right.
So that little short shank does that for you. And also you'll notice that all these hooks down here, they have the extreme live bait, which is the small wire, versus the HD, which is the heavy duty live bait. And that HD hook you're going to want to use on a more bigger bait or a stronger bait. Probably more of a saltwater bait, like a big pilchard or a goggle eye or blue runner, something that can hold that weight. And it's also going to be targeting larger fish.
Yeah.
So you need to have a little bit bigger wire. And when you go down to the smaller baits, like a shiner or, even a shrimp, you're going to want to use the extreme live bait hooks that have the smaller wire and a smaller size, so it doesn't really affect the bait as much.
Right.
Now, also, those are the TK7 or the short shanks, and the TK8s, and the circle hooks that you had to work with. The bait savers, they're the TK5 BS, and what the bait saver does is if you're using a fish bait, any type of fin fish as a bait, or even a crab actually, that will keep the bait from turning around and getting inside of itself. The hook from turning around and getting
fouling the bait
back up inside the bait, which either results in a dead bait or no hookup on the fish that you're trying to catch, which is no good. Now, you also like to use a kale hook a lot of times, which is pretty much a stretched out circle hook.
Right.
A kale hook, they've been around for a long time. A lot of guys use them for flounder, but they're also great for trout and redfish with their live croaker on there. That longer shank and the way that it's bent back a little bit allows the fish to get all that hook into his mouth,
right,
and comes tight in the corner, just kind of like a circle hook.
Right.
So you really don't have to really set the hook on those, just like a circle hook. You can just reel down once you notice that you got a bite and catch the fish. A TK9 Kale hook, 5.0 for reds. Giant reds, you can use a 7/0 or something like this one, and a little 3/0 for a soft mouth fish like a trout.
Right,
So,
like these.
Correct. And
So Dave, what's the bobber for?
Well, usually when you're using a live bait, a lot of times you'll use a bobber, and it's not so much to be as a strike indicator. It's more of trying to control the depth of the bait. Because you don't want a live bait, if you let them out there on just free lining it, which we do sometimes, it'll just usually head for the bottom or just take off. And what happens with a bobber is it kind of keeps the bait under control. We can use a bobber stopper also to cast a bait a long way and still control how deep we want that bait to go. If we're fishing on a flat with a certain depth, if it's only 3 feet or 2 foot depth, that's where we want the bait to hang a foot above it.
Right.
We'll use a bobber stopper and a bobber. Also, which a lot of people don't know, is a bobber that makes noise is a good way to catch fish as well. You can put that under a shrimp under there and
Yes.
pop it, pop and cork, ping, 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 and it'll bring fish to it. You know, they're not all afraid of sounds all the time, so that's a good thing to use as well. And hair hook baits, I got some hair hooks here. When you're trying to catch bait, a cast net's obviously a good way to catch bait, but baits that are caught hand lining or line caught bait, they last a lot longer. They're in much better shape, and if you use a little long shank wire, real small wire hook, it's easy to get out of the bait. They can't swallow it all the way down, which is a good thing, because if we get the bait, if the bait eats the little hair hook all the way down and gets caught in his gills or something, he's probably not going to live as long as we want him to. He's not going to swim as hard as we want him to. A live bait that really pumps and goes is what we want. So we want to try to keep them in cooler water. Use an aerator of some sort once you catch them to keep them frisky and alive. The darker the better. Darker bucket will keep them calmer. And if you can use a cooler for a bait, that's even better, because cooler water holds more oxygen and your baits will swim and last longer.
And the bubbler with the stone in the bottom of the live well aerates the whole thing.
The whole water column. Don't put it at the top. Make sure the stone is at the bottom.
I'm going to have to buy an extra half hour, because I just don't feel like we ever have enough time over here.
No.
There's never enough time. There's too much good information from you two over there. All right, the water is heating up in the Sea Sucker Lower Coast region, so let's see what that means for our weekend ahead with Captain Chad Kinney. Go for it, Chad.
I'll tell you what, can't believe it's already Memorial Day weekend coming up, and talking about Sea Sucker, go to seasucker.com. These guys, I've got 70-foot boats all the way down to 14. I've got like 8 boats, and every single boat has their product on it. They have their drink cups, everything else like that for Memorial Day weekend, and rod holders. They got great products, so check them out. But talk about moving over to the inshore. First, talking about the fishing stuff. With the higher winds we've been having, it's still going to be high this weekend, but it's going to subside. It's pretty good. But right now, with the higher winds, go ahead to the land cut. It's been really good. The water clarity is a lot better up there. There's been a lot of fish. There's been a lot of trout, redfish, and flounder. So you can reach out from Corpus Christi or Port Mansfield, on both ends right there. So talking about trout fishing remains solid, like I said, and land cut especially. There are those higher winds, looking for those grass lines right on the edge of those ICWs. We've been talking about this for the last, about a month basically, but they're still holding there. So you look for those grass lines, you'll see them breaking off on those ICWs. You can try some topwater action early. Berkeley J Walker is working really good, or you can try a Mirror Lure Top Dog Junior. Don't be afraid to cast those things up to the bank when your powder pulled down. Just cast them up to the bank and then work the edge right there and work the edge of those grass beds. If you're using the soft plastics, you really want to get in those edge of that grass bed. Saltwater assassin, sea shad. Magic grass and color is my number one color to go to. Chicken on chains, but my second one. And you work those drop-offs right on the ICW right there. If you're using some live bait, right now live bait, the bait to go to is a live troker, working really, really good with a free line. Also with like an Eagle Claw 5/0 Kale hook. Like Dave was talking about the Kale hooks, these fish will hit it. It's like a circle hook. Don't believe the myth. I mean, they're not going to get gut hooked and stuff. They're going to hit it right on their edge, and you can release them all day long, and they'll be good shape and catch your slot limit fish. Remember, talking about slot limit, trout fishing's 3 per person, 15 to 20 inches is the slot size down here in the whole coast, so we're in good shape there. Talking about redfish, actually they're holding in the same area in the land cut. So you can try the same area, same techniques we just talked about. They're mixed in with the trout at times. You can move also up to like 9 Mile Hole. There's a big school of oversized fish up there. Gold spoon, if you want to get up there earlier in the shallower stuff with a real quick retrieve, that's going to work really good. If you're fishing on the bottom, cast out a fish bite on the bottom and a drop off on a Carolina rig works really good. While you're doing that, you can still fish for your trout and your redfish with your soft plastics, waiting for that redfish bite. You can power pole down right along those corners of the edge of the oil guts and those corners in the ICW right there to be real effective on this. You can put your redfish bait out on the back end, fish your lures on the front end, and have it all at once. That's the way I do it. So I'm talking about flounder are definitely in the land cut. They're kind of year round, but that's the way to go because they're protected, a lot of clarity, a lot better water clarity for them like that. Look for your guts that you can find in there, especially with some tidal movement. You're getting tidal movement. We've had a little bit of rain here. So when bait starts falling out, you're going to find some better results there like that. Try real early in the AM. Not really, I mean, get there when the sun starts popping up. When it starts popping up, you see that bait start moving, and then you're going to see that really, the bite get a lot better. Just retrieve it real slow, bump the bottom. Repeat this many times over and over as you can be effective on that. You can have a 10-foot wide gut, cast it 10, 20, 30, 40 times, and you're going to thump one. So use the saltwater assassin and a quarter-ounce jig head on that one. And with a fish bite strip also works good, and bump the bottom like that. Just wait for that thump and give it a little bit of a second, set the hook, and drag them up to the bank. If you're wade fishing off the bank or if you're on the boat, you get a landing net. These guys are definitely notorious for spitting the hook out when they get to the boat. Got a picture, great picture here with a buddy of mine, Eric Sowles, with a Sea Spray Trouters out of Port Mansfield. He was up there fishing, and he got a bunch of trout, redfish, and flounder.
Nice.
Good day.
All right, let's go offshore.
Yeah, great day. So moving on to offshore. The weather's been kind of rough, guys. We've been talking about this, but it's going to get really good. When it gets good, I'll give you a great report. There's been some kingfish actually up on the beachfront and some structure around there. So the kings, the water has shown up, and the kingfish are there. So you guys want to sneak out around there and get some stuff, find some good water clarity, some structure. And we've been using this last year or so, the Savage Max Stick Speed Runner. These things are money. These are great. They're hard baits. They can go up to 15 knots. We've been rigging them up to wire. We're trolling them actually for kings. We slow them down a bit for like 6 to 7.5 knots. We're putting them on a Penn International 16 to 30 wide with about a 30-pound Berkeley Chrome mono. Spooled up on that, so it gives a little bit of stretch when they hit them because they're fast, just like the wahoo, and they're really toothy. So make sure after that you check your leaders after every fish, check your baits, everything else like that, because they can kink up. But the baits are tougher than heck, and they pull really, really good. On this one also, I'd pull 3 lines, whether you're in a center console that's 20-foot or a 70-foot custom. Pull 3 lines out. The reason for this, it makes it easier to maneuver the bait balls, makes it easier to clear lines, and it makes it a lot easier to get your fish in and get everything done.
That's some good advice. Thank you, Chad. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the lower coast region. Chad said basically the land cut continues to produce some good trout, redfish, and flounder along the grass lines and the entrances to the oil gut. And then if you want to go offshore, guys, the waters are warming up and some kingfish are being caught around the structure in 40 to 90 feet of water.
That's what we like to hear. All right, the Key West Marlin Tournament is coming up July 17th through the 20th for your shot at fishing for some serious cash in the sun-drenched Florida Keys. This is more than a competition. It's a high-stakes adventure with hundreds of thousands of dollars up for grabs, where every catch could lead you to victory. Join the ranks of fishing aficionados in the grand tradition of Hemingway himself and get registered at keywestmarlin.com. All right, the Fish Bites Middle Coast and Startron Middle Fresh Regions captains are giving you your reports up next. And remember to keep up with everything fishing in Texas. Scan that QR code on your screen to check out all of our social media pages, YouTube channel, Captain Rick Murphy, where you can see new fishing adventures, along with reports, of course. Plus, we have our show merchandise on our website, so make sure you scan away and get yours now. We'll be right back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. Berkeley, your fish, our science. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. Abyss Battery. Power your pursuit. Ducks Unlimited. Leader in wetlands conservation. Rodan. Set it, forget it, catch more fish. Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome. And Penn. Let the battle begin.
Today's Power Pole tip of the week is about the sportsmen. Guys, if you own a big aluminum boat, a pontoon boat, or even a flat bottom boat, this is the pole that you should consider. It has the ability to hold up to a 4,500 pound boat. Keep in mind that it has also a great quiet pump, as well as it comes in a matte black finish and an 8-foot model. The other thing that I love about it is its price point. A single pole is only gonna cost $1,299. So if you're considering buying a shallow water anchor, you might want to look at the Sportsman's. And remember this, the Sportsman's has all the great features that all of our other power pole anchors have to offer. You can simply go to your power pole dealer nearest you, or you can go to powerpole.com, and that's today's Power Pole tip of the week. Best customer service in the business, Brie, right there.
Absolutely,
Power Pole.
and product. All right, the Fish Bites Middle Coast region is ready for the weekend ahead. So, of course, Captain Binks Grimes is blessing us with his report and sweet words of wisdom. Go for it, Binks.
Yeah, just want to remind everybody, boaters and anglers, to pack your patience this Memorial Day weekend. There's a lot of traffic on our waterways, and we all need a break from this inflation, our economy, and just the weirdness of the world today. What better way than a perfect cast or family boat ride, or just enjoying a sunrise or a sunset on the water? Let's do it this weekend. The topwater bite for trout has been really good. Mirror sheep pups and she dogs in the surf have been hot. Bass Assassins and Little Johns have been a good soft plastic choice. Flats adjacent to the jetties and passes are holding good numbers of trout in the incoming tide. As many of those ocean trout are flowing through the passes with this stiff, ardent incoming tide. Stiff breezes, southerly breezes, pumped up our tides. Our tides are about 1.5 feet above normal, and it's pushing those trout to the shoreline. And waders are working right off the edges of the grass and getting them pretty good with on top waters. We've worked sand and grass. We've worked slicks to catch a lot of trout. There's a lot of fish slicking right now because there's a lot more bait in the bay, a lot more mullet in the bay. The south shoreline of West Matter Grove Bay has been good for wading the flats. Most of the trout have been hanging about 40 to 50 yards off the shoreline. Again, Bass Assassins. Berkeley topwaters have been the ticket. Port O'Connor protected shorelines close to Pascavallo have been solid for trout. Topwater bites been good there as well, especially while fishing the major and the minor moon phases. We're coming up on a full moon this weekend, so it's really important to watch when that moon's above you, below you, on the horizon, or going down on the horizon. Jetty action along the middle coast has improved with these warmer tides. Good numbers of trout have been caught on live shrimp and topwaters. We were showing about 82 to 83 degrees at press time for our water temperatures here lately. So, man, it's getting warm. With Texas' new 15 to 20 slot limit, many of those jetty trout will be a catch and release. No problem there. Take care of those beauties. Our fisheries are improving daily with more conservative catch and release attitudes. Redfish, these good tides are a boon for our redfish. That same pattern's been good around Palacios and Matagorda, Crab Lake, Oyster Lake, Coon Island, holding redfish on live shrimp and mullet. Tides are really high. Most of the fish are right on top of the shell. Waders have found redfish tight to the grass with these bloated tides. Smaller shrimp hide in that grass with the high tides, and the reds literally root them out with their nose. You see a shrimp hopping along that grass, there's a good chance a redfish made that shrimp bound to the surface. Best bets for reds continue to be along the beach as well. Slot size reds have been caught in the first gut. The bull reds are good on the deep side of the second bar off the tip of the Matagorda jetty. Surfside and Port O'Connor jetty are holding big reds too. Some are using blue crabs. Some are free lining, use big Gulf shrimp and Carolina rig, large table shrimp. There's a lot of big white Charlie shrimp right on the beach right now. There's a photo of redfish caught while drifting east bay. Those fish bite soft plastics have been a solid offering for these brutes like this one. Even when we're throwing plastics, we're tipping them with fish bites, and we're throwing fish bites, soft plastics as well. Offshore Matagorda, Michael Quebec at the Ling and Amberjacks are showing those red snapper are good in state waters, with most of the fish in the 10 to 15 pound range. Our federal season is going to open June the 1st and run through for 98 days, and so we're looking forward to that. Lots of bull reds and sharks on the beach as well. Kobe and kingfish are in full swing with the Gulf water temperatures at about 82 to 83 degrees. Wahoo are on the deeper rips and trash lines. So, Memorial Day is the kickoff of the summer. Catch a fish with a family this weekend, take a boat ride, and fly that flag for the good old US of A.
All right, thank you so much, Bink. Great report. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the mirror lure hotspots for the Middle Coast region. Bink says the trout are good in Port O'Connor on top waters on the incoming tide, and those bull redfish are good at the jetties in Matagorda, Port O'Connor, Port Aransas, and also Freeport. Sounds like all the jetties getting lit up.
All the jetties. All right, next up is the Star Tri-Middle Fresh region, talking about some good weather and those chomping bass. Sounds like a perfect Memorial Day weekend, Matt. Let's hear it.
Yes, indeed, Bree. We're going to talk about all bass this week because there has been a lot of good bass fishing going on. We're going to start out talking about Toledo Bend. The lake remains flooded, but it is falling slowly. We've had some break in the rain finally, and the water temps are up in the upper 70s now, thanks to a lot of sunshine and some 90-degree days. It's coming on up. The clarity is stained throughout most of the lake, but it is slightly cleaner from the mid-lake area down to the dam, so if you're looking for clean water, stay towards that end. The Sealy Big Bass Splash hosted an incredible event last weekend. Tons of people showed up to fish it, and the lake being flooded from the recent rains actually turned into a really positive situation because it allowed the anglers to spread out as much as possible. There were still a few areas that got a little congested because there was a huge number of boats on the water, but overall, everybody did a great job kind of spreading out. And boy, did the big fish show up. If you aren't familiar with how the Big Bass Splash works, I'm just going to kind of real quick explain it. Basically, there are hourly weigh-ins for each hour of the day, starting at 7 a.m., going all the way to 2 p.m. During each hour, they pay out 15 places, and for the largest single bass of each hour, plus a couple of bonus places on a few hours. They do bonus prizes for exact weight fish and all kinds of cool stuff, plus overall prizes for the largest 5 fish of the full 3-day weekend. Now, it took an 8-pounder or better to win top honors for almost every hour of the event. There was just a few there where some 7 snuck in. I think one or 2 hours where a heavy 6-pounder snuck in for the top prize, and then a 4-pounder or better to take 15th place for most of the hours. So there were very few where some smaller fish squeaked in. If you really start doing the math on that, it's astonishing how many big fish were caught over the course of 3 days during all those hours from 4 to 8 pounds. It was really awesome, or 4 to 10 pounds rather. And I haven't even mentioned that yet. There were 4 bass over 10 pounds caught. And this is in May with post-spawn fish, so that's really awesome. A 10.6-pounder was the top fish of the whole weekend. Mr. Ryan Hansen caught that one. You can throw the photo up there. He's got that winning fish holding up for you. You can see the weight there behind him. Really beautiful fish. Congratulations to him. As I mentioned, there were 4 of them over 10 pounds, a bunch of them over 8 pounds. So if you haven't planned your next trip to Toledo Bend, you really should start thinking about it. It's really putting out the big ones right now. Fish were caught lots of different ways during that event, but the main patterns are frogs up shallow around the flooded grass and bushes, and then look for brim beds while you're up there because that's an especially good place to catch a big one up around the shallow stuff. And then out offshore, that pattern's still holding in about 10 to 20 feet of water using big crankbaits and worms. All right, now we're going to slide over to Sam Rayburn, another lake that's always amazing in the Middle Fresh region. Big fish being caught over there, too. Very similar to Toledo Bend. Lots of frog-eating bass over there right now. They're hanging around the bushes. Of course, flipping those bass and skunk apes or the whoop-eye craws in those bushes has been good. And just keeping that frog wet, covering a lot of water fast with whatever you really have confidence in until you find them. Find that right stretch of bushes and then get to work on them. One of my favorites is pitching that skunk ape right into the middle of the bushes, getting in that thick stuff, trying to get those big ones out of those bushes. It gets interesting, but it's really a lot of fun. You can take advantage of that good bite right now while these fish are aggressive. It's good, it's kind of like hand-to-hand combat, so you're going to want to bring a heavy rod and some big lines. Also, we've got a photo here for you of Mr. Cole Hargrave. You can see there with the flooded bushes behind him, getting up in that thick stuff.
Looking good. All right, tell us about Richland Chambers, bub.
Yes, sir. We're going to move up there with Mr. Thurman Selman up there at Bass Specialty Guide Service. He's always keeping us informed. He says the lake up there is still flooded as well. Lots of water in the Middle Fresh region right now. It's about 1 foot over pool. So it's still flooded, but it's not as much as it was. It's come down about a foot in a week. But the bass are continuing to use the bushes up there as well. That's their primary source of cover with the water being so flooded like it is. And the big fish are being caught in those bushes. He said bladed jigs are still good, and then the Bass Assassin fat jobs out around the edge of those bushes have been awesome as well. And he sent us a photo to go with that one also. We got one more big bass for you this week. That's Mr. Jim Carpenter there with a big Richland Chambers bass.
All right, man. Thank you for all the good pictures, but we do need to ask, how's the baby?
Baby.
Oh, she's wonderful. I'm ready to take her fishing, but her mama hasn't let me.
Oh, no.
Well, here's what I'm gonna tell you there, boss. You want a happy life, you better keep a happy wife. So, do
Agreed.
whatever mama say.
She'll be out there before you know it.
After 36 years of being with Kathy, I'm still trying to figure that one out.
And you'll never figure it out.
I just got this little rebellion side, but it's okay. Hey, thank you so much for the report this week, bub. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Rodan Marine System hotspots. My man says largemouth bass have been chomping in the shallows on the flooded reservoirs. Frogs, bladed jigs, and soft plastics around the brush and grass have been the ticket, Brie.
He wants to take her fishing, but it goes by so fast. So, Matt, just slow down. Enjoy these moments at home.
Oh, boy. Hey, that's coming
Sorry,
from
my daughter's
Mama.
turning 6 and I'm freaking out. All right, just around the corner is the 30th annual Skeeter Owners
6
Tournament.
already?
I know. It's at Lake Fork. Thousands of Skeeter owners travel to celebrate the world's first bass boat and fish for their chance to win up to $200,000 in cash and prizes. Get registered today and come join us June 6th through the 9th by scanning the QR code on your screen. I hesitated because your birthday is June 4th.
It is.
It is. It's coming up. We're excited for that.
I'm going to be 52.
Liar! I don't know about that.
Little liar. Little liar.
A little lies.
Little
All right, next
little
we're
white
getting
one.
prepped for the weekend with our red, white, and blue gear and making sure we're taking a boating safety course as we cast into the Upper Fresh region. And we're also seeing what Taco Marine new products Dave Farrell is showing us at the Yak Gear workbench. Dave, let's see it.
I got some really cool stuff. My littlest one just turned 18.
Okay, well, that's...
Little Molly Moo.
You
She's
don't
not
have
little Molly Moo
kids
anymore.
No. Looking
Big
good over there, Dave.
plugs.
We'll be back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Abu Garcia, Fish to Win, Fenwick, Feel Everything, Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome, Island Lures, Tournament Tackle, Sea Sucker, easy on, easy off, incredibly strong. Turn on the bite anytime. Tie on a Miro Lure. Front Runner Boats, performance-built offshore fishing boats made in the USA. And Startron, start, run, and store with Startron.
So we're here at the Taco Marine new products at the Yak Gear workbench.
Yes, we are.
Dave, what are we going to start off with tonight?
Well, we're going to start off with that Scientific Angler's launch pad right there, and that's it's a fly management system. It's a casting mat, and it's called the launch pad, and it takes the hassle out of managing fly line. When you're fly fishing, there's a line flying around all the time, and this really helps out. You know a lot more about it than I do.
So let me show you how it works. I'm going to walk around to the front of the bench, if you don't mind, and we're going to pretend that the floor here. What I like about it is, your fly line blows all over the place, Dave. So if the wind's blowing like this, I'm going to walk over here, and when I strip and I drop my line, it's going to be here. But the next spot that I go to, maybe we're poling into the, or poling downwind. So what I'm going to do is I can put it in front. So I can move it so that when I drop my fly line and the wind's blowing that way, I can move it. Ridge and I have 2 of them that we keep in the boat so that we can have one on this side and maybe one behind us, or one on this side and then one in front of us or behind us, depending on what the wind's doing. And every time you change spots, you got to move these around, and that's what I love about it. It's really portable.
Well, it's made from UV-resistant silicone and UV plastic grommets. Those grommets allow you to anchor it really well because it will not float. If it goes into the water, it's going to sink. It's 37 by 6 inches, and it's got that angler-centric design there. And the tall little spikes at the end, they're what catch the line.
Yes.
They catch it. And those little short ones are what allow you to control it. It lays
keeps
flat,
it from
keeps from
blowing
coiling up.
around.
Yeah, it keeps it from coiling up. So go to scientificanglers.com to get you one of those.
Or you can just go to the Texas Insider Fishing Report and you can buy it through our affiliate program.
There you go. Next, we have the Sea Sucker 2-cup vertical holder with tumbler rings that nobody likes to drink alone. So you got 2 cup holders there. Easily add the cup holder anywhere you need to that has a vertical space that's smooth. Comes with the colored tumbler rings. These are for the Heroes on the Water. 25% goes to Heroes on the Water if you get the blue ones. Right. If you get the orange ones, they go to the Pediatric Cancer Foundation, and the red ones that goes to the CCA. Right.
That's correct.
So, go to seasucker.com and get you one of their collections. And, that Sea Sucker suction disc on the back is going to make sure that your stuff stays
that's how you
where
know.
You put it.
Just pump that up, and then once the little blue ring is disappeared, it's sucking on there.
Right, and these are called tumbler rings, and you can take these out as well if you have something else that doesn't need the tumbler rings.
Exactly.
So seasucker.com/collections to take a look at those. Next, we have the Savage Big Panic poppers. These are big poppers if you're out there wanting to catch big tunas or even snappers or groupers in shallower water. Anything.
Throw it to a cobia.
Exactly. Anything that'll eat a big topwater bait. They come in 11 different colors, 4 different sizes from 3.5 inches all the way up to 7.5 inches. Heavy duty hardware that's rated up to 120 pounds. They're all through wired, so if something comes up and crushes this thing and breaks it all apart, it's still going to stay on because it's got the wire all the way through it. And it's designed for really, long casts. It has a weight that'll move when you throw it, and a great popping and spitting action. It's got the 4X hooks on there, and you can really wing it. Use that a big Penn Authority there that we've got one rigged on.
Yeah, this is tuna ready right here.
Exactly. It's a Penn Authority on a Carnage 3 reel. I think we've got some Prospec 40 line on here. And a nice fluorocarbon Prospec as well. I guess we've got 30 to 50?
30 to 50.
Yeah,
correct.
And that'll catch just about any tuna that you want to hook in the section. Maybe not a giant yellowfin, but we're going to give it a shot anyway.
Be a man and try.
Yeah, you can go to Savage Panic Poppers to get those. You want to go to savagegear.com.
All right.
Last but not least here, we got some Fathom Offshore Vivid Squids. When we're out there offshore, we like to pull a lot of teasers, and these squid were specifically designed to be rigged up on as a teaser, either as a chain or on a dredge, just a single. If you want to put a single one up in front of a bait, as kind of like a fake bird, or a spreader bar. If you're tuna fishing, you can put them on a spreader bar too. The oversized mantle. Fins on here, really give it a good action, and the long tentacles have little paddles on them as well, so that you can, it makes it even more action.
Makes more bubbles.
Exactly. They're loaded with UV additive. Every one of them has a whole lot of UV additive, so when you got natural sunlight hitting them, they put off an ultraviolet glow. Which is, fish can see. A lot of fish can see from a long away. They have a really hard reinforced tip up the top, so that your anything that you're rigging it with, your beads or crimps or whatever, won't just come sliding through there and rip apart. So it makes them really durable, which, if you're using them as a teaser on a dredge or anything, you want durability. You don't want to have to be pulling a big dredge or a big chain in and out of the water to replace squids. So go to Fathom Offshore, and they come in 6 different colors. So a lot of guys have a certain color that they like. They've got you covered.
Pink.
FathomOffshore.com.
Everything likes pink, Dave.
Pink, that's correct.
That's my thing.
I would rather green. Dave, also, I love to drink alone.
Exactly.
If I'm alone, that's great. All right, in the upper West region, the lakes are in full pool mode, which means Mike McFarland has a lot of good fishing spots to talk about. Take us into our 3-day weekend, Mike.
All right. Hey, Brie. Hey, Captain. Hey, Rick, we got some good stuff going on. Let's talk about Ray Hubbard with Joe Shipley, the threadfin shatter spawning in the early morning and late evening hours. Look for the blue heron birds and the white egrets. They line the shorelines in the rocky bank areas. Throw shallow crankbaits and natural shad colors. Those are your best bets. Lake Levon with Carrie Thorne. The bass are loving the newly flooded brushing timber, Carrie says. Chartreuse and white spinnerbaits during the early morning hours work really well. If the clouds stay and it's cloudy, those will work all day. Spinnerbait all day in the clouds. Wacky trick worms like the Bass Assassin 7.5-inch tap-out worm flipped in and around the submerged button willows are producing the most fish. That's the best bite. Best colors are watermelon candy, watermelon red, maybe even just your favorite color trick worm. Confidence is everything. Possum Kingdom with Pete Hernandez. Good there, 100% full pool. The north end is very stained and muddy. The south end lightly stained. Post-spawn fish is full spawns, full swing there. There's baby bass, baby fry everywhere. Topwater baits thrown early on rock points and around green nightlights are working well. Bass are staging on brush piles and points that are holding schools of shad. Jigs in spring craw colors, Texas rig big worms like the 10-inch Berkeley power worm, and deep diving Berkeley crankbaits. Lake Athens, Jay Bonner says that just running the banks and shorelines there with shad-colored flukes or chatterbaits is easy fishing. Bass Assassin Vapor Shad in the color albino is a personal favorite of mine. And I also like to hit the grass edges, the deeper grass edges with jigs and Carolina rigs for those bigger fish. Lake Bodark bass fishing there is slowed down a little, but still excellent. Bass are on point, so it's flooded timber. The dead brown timber is your best. Dark-colored jigs and Texas rig creature baits like the Berkeley Chigger Craw or the Bass Assassin Whoopa Craw can really clean up once you find the fish. Remember, just run bank, cover a lot of shoreline. Once you get bit, slow down. While you're running bank, Bass Assassins, spinnerbaits, chatterbaits, just chuck and wind. Lake Fork, it's really starting to open up. The early morning shad spawn is happening. Blue herons again, so topwater baits like the Berkeley Jaywalker, the Berkeley Bullet Top. The Cane Walker is really becoming one of my personal favorites. Shad colors always work well, but bone white seems to catch the biggest fish. Good polarized glasses is really important. I use the Bajío brand right now with the rose or violet, and I can see the bait fish, which is huge. If you're moving offshore, the bite is really kicked off there. Heavy jigs and big Texas rigs. And here's a big old bass that was caught on a Berkeley Bullet Pop.
Nice. Nice. Woo. All right, let's go ahead and crappie fishing.
Crappie fishing on Fork with Jackie Wiggins. It's full swing summer pattern. Seeing great numbers of black crappie and laydowns in certain trees in 14 to 28 feet. You can also find those black crappie on docks and bridges over the next few months. Kind of nice to fish from the shade there. Jackie loves to use the artificial, so your small hand-tied jigs in neutral and natural colors work best, but minnows, those also clean them up. And here's Jackie again, filling up a table of crappie for his client.
Wow. Dang. All right. What else you got? Some stripes for us?
Stripers, Lake Levant with Kerry Thorne. If the shad are spawning early, you'll see them on the bank. Use paddle tail swim baits. Top water lures are also filling the box. And then once they're later in the day, if they're not on the banks, you'll move out to 20 to 35 feet on structure, slopes, rock piles. And that's where you're going to use your 2-ounce slab spoons with a hair jig tied 18 inches above for double fish. To walk any stripers there are actually doing really well. They're stacking up on points in 20 to 30 feet. Live bait is best early. Green slab spoons in the middle of the day. But that deep bite's where those stripers on hybrids are. And here's a big table of hybrids with Matt Cartwright.
Yep. Looks good, man.
Matt kills it.
All right,
nice.
let's talk about some kitty cats.
Catfish. We've got catfishing on Levant, Pewaukee, and Fork. They're all excellent. The catfish are spawning in the rocks shallow in 3 to 10 feet of water on Levant. They're running the banks 2 to 15 feet on windblown points in Pewaukee. And at Fork, if you'll just pre-bait a hole at 18 to 25 feet near a creek channel, use cattle cubes or sour maize the day before, you can clean up catfish, and I mean clean them up. This big picture I'm sharing was caught in just a couple of hours, and look at all these fish on this table.
Oh, man, that looks yummy.
Delicious.
A lot of fun in just a couple hours, so upper fresh region's going off well.
Thank you so much for all the great picks this week, bud. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Ducks Unlimited hotspots from the Upper Fresh region. The world-famous Lake Fork is known for producing a tremendous amount of giant bass, and that is just what's biting. The big fish have finished spawning, and they are grouping up together in huge schools on the offshore structure. Big worms, heavy jigs. They will get your arm hurt while fighting these true giants.
And they are coming. Well, gentlemen, this weekend, we've said it, it's Memorial Day weekend. We're going to have a lot of people out on the water, fishing, hopefully. I know I will be. And there's a lot of stuff we have to look out for, especially if we're on a boat or near boats.
Wear your life stuff.
Wear your life stuff.
Be aware of all the other boaters around you.
Navigational
Wear your kill
rules.
switch, guys.
That's a big one.
Yes.
You know what?
Yeah.
And you know, most fatalities happen when somebody's drunk and falls out of the boat and they don't have a life preserver.
Or another
Right.
drunk dude runs over him. So.
Yeah.
Right.
So guys,
all these things, just be careful, be aware, make sure you maintain your vessel too, get it checked by the Coast Guard, whatever you got to do. Stay safe out there, wear sunscreen.
that's right.
First weekend in the sunshine. We'll see you next week.
Or you go get your rent-a-tan like old Brie.
It is real. We'll be back
Queen Jamaica.
next week with real tans.